My name is Andy Coleman. I'm a four-time Icon agent with EXP Realty. I've closed over 900 deals. I've basically made over $2 million in net commission in my first 5 years of being a real estate agent. The crazy part is I did it all off of rentals. I basically teach agents how to actually do this, how to replicate all of my successes. I've closed 30 deals in a month, 20 deals in a month. I made $130,000 in profit in 1 month. So I'm gonna break that down and kind of show you how I did that. So my first year of real estate, I closed 50 deals. I made $80,000 in commission. My second year, 170 deals, $250,000 in commission. Third year, I closed 250 deals and made $510,000 in commission. I was the number 2 ranked agent in EXP Realty that year by deals done right under John Scalia. I kind of went over the other stats already, up to 30 deals in one single month. That would average mid-20s. I'm gonna teach you exactly how I did this. I have a whole entire presentation for you guys that's gonna kind of break all of that down. We have to figure out which lead generation strategy that we want. If you're in a market where it's a heavy buyer's market, you're going to want to focus on buyers. A heavy seller's market, you're going to want to focus on getting listings. Unfortunately, in 2025, we're in neither of those markets. It's clearly a renter's market. So I'm going to break down a couple key points why you should even be focusing on the rental deals. If you're not, there's probably a great chance you're not closing that many deals. An Inman article just came out that said that 71% of agents closed 0 deals in 2024. I talked to thousands of agents across the entire country. Some of them are saying it's even worse than that. And it's because you all are focusing on the wrong things. You're focusing on the buyers, you're focusing on the sellers, but there's no reason to do that. You want to focus on the 90% of the market, which is the renters, right? Guys, renters, buyers, sellers. That's how this whole entire operation works in real estate. You can't skip the renters, go straight to the buyers, and then think you're gonna, magically close 100 deals in your first year. It does not work that way. Even if you've been doing this for a while, it doesn't work that way in this market. Renters are easy mode, buyers are hard mode, sellers are expert mode. Start with the renters, especially in the worst housing market that we've had since probably the Great Depression by the numbers. So I was talking about this a little bit before. There's a 10-to-1 ratio of renters to buyers. That means 4.5 million house sales, 45 million rentals. Why would you not focus on the 45 million renters out there instead of the tiny little portion of buyers and sellers? It truly doesn't make sense. Time per deal. I really want to focus on the time per deal because if you're working on a sale, on average, it takes about 20 hours. Now, I was just with Leo Pareja, head of CEO of EXP Realty, and he told me it's actually more like 80 hours to close a sale. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe a difficult one, but at least 20 hours. For a rental, I've mastered it. I've gotten it down to 2 hours per deal. Now, you're probably thinking in your head, nope, Andy, I've done rentals before. Does not take 2 hours to do a rental deal. I do 10 showings, clients are picky, they ghost me and all that stuff. Yes, obviously, if you've just done a handful of rentals in your life, that's what you're going to expect. That's what you're going to see unless you get lucky. I had the exact same thing happen early on in my career, but instead of stopping and saying, oh, screw this is nonsense, let me work with the buyers and sellers for the biggest checks if I'm going to be spending the same amount of time, I said, no, there has to be an easier way to do this. So instead of stopping, I doubled down. And it's like, think about it. Who's your favorite athlete of all time? It could be Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky. None of them got to the level where they're at, to being the best in the world without 10 hours of practice every single day. That's what I did for real estate. I became the best in the world at doing rentals and converting renters into buyers by putting in 10 hours a day for a year straight. So I got my average deal time down to about 2 hours per closed deal. And I got my average commission up to $2,000. I'm going to show you the strategies on exactly how I did that later in the presentation. So we're talking a little bit about commissions, right? The average commission typically is about half a month's rent commission, depending on where you are. If let's use Florida as an example. If you're in South Florida, Miami, Palm Beach area, Broward area, Fort Lauderdale, you're getting about half a month's rent commission. Our average 3 beds, like $3,500. You're making $1,700. I charge a $300 transaction admin fee, whatever you want to call it. and add that to my commission. That's $2,000 per deal, basically, that I am going to make in an area like this. There's a lot of places out there, a lot of states out there that do the exact same thing. But if you're in an area where they pay less, let's say $300 per deal, you're probably thinking, well, why would I want to work, 2 hours to make $300? Well, do the math. You're making $150 an hour. That's if you don't charge any fees. I will show you how to charge a fee to the tenant. So the landlord will pay you $300. The tenant will pay you $300. You're going to now walk away with $600 for 2 hours of your time. That's incredible dollars per hour. Then you're going to turn renters into buyers, which I'll get into in a second. But think about it, right? If you do turn one renter into a buyer and you close 10 rentals or 15 rentals in a month, you are literally going to be making tens of thousands of dollars per month, right? You close 10 rentals and you're getting $600, that's $6,000. You close one sale from that, one renter into a buyer, you're making another $10,000. That's 16 grand that you're gonna make off of a measly $300 commission check. When you didn't think it was worth it, guess again, is $16,000 a month worth it? That's gonna scale over time. And trust me, this is consistent money. This is like every single month you're gonna make that or more if you just follow the blueprint that I've set, right? Then you could also do apartment complexes, which is typically a full month's rent commission, or get your own rental listing, right? I have 3 strategies that I'm going to show you guys, and one of them is actually getting rental listings. So you're going to get landlord leads, okay? So we just kind of talked about the commission a little bit, so we don't really have to go over that again. That's the visualization, if you're seeing this on the screen right now, of kind of just what I just talked about. And then renters turning into buyers, right? There's 2 methods on exactly how to do this. First method is turning active renters into buyers, which is a very low percentage. I'm not going to BS you right now. It's about 10%. It mimics how the housing market is right now. So meaning if you close 10 rental deals, could be a month, 2 months, whatever it is, could be 2 weeks, you'll close 1 buyer. And I'm going to show you how I do that, right? But the big money, the way you get rich off of rentals, and yeah, making 15, 20 grand, or if you're like me, 50,000 a month, it's cool and all, and it puts you in the top 1%. But what if you want to be in the top, 1% of the 1%? That won't cut it. 50,000 a month in commission, that's not going to cut it. You need more. So that's where I devised a strategy. And I'm sure you've probably had this happen in your real estate career too, where you've turned a closed renter into a buyer. Now, 50% of tenants eventually buy a house. If you can turn 30% of these closed renters into buyers, you can make a fortune. Think about it. If you do 300 rentals and you turn 30% of them into buyers, that's 90 buyers, 90 sales per year. Now, depending on your market, that's at least around $1 million in commission that you're going to make off turning your closed renters into buyers. Takes a little bit of patience, takes a little bit of planning. I created a 369 system, which I'll chat about in a little bit. And you got to remember, when you're dealing with rentals, like nobody's doing this. No other agents are out there working with renters. Everybody's saying, don't do it, No competition. The market's not saturated for this. There's abundance of renters because America's turned into a nation of renters, like we just discussed before. And nobody's doing it. You don't have your colleagues focusing on rental deals. So if you go out there and you master this, you're going to be the only one basically doing it in your market. Give you an example. Texas, they have 170,000 agents. Do you know how many agents I've taught in Texas? Maybe like 15, maybe 20 in the whole state of Texas. Nobody knows how to do this compared to all the agents that are fighting over the same measly 4 million buyers and sellers out there. Guys, I'm telling you right now, it's not a saturated strategy. You have to come up with some kind of lead generation strategy, whether it's open houses, FSBOs, door knocking, mailers, rentals. But you have to examine the housing market, then you got to examine the competition. It's non-existent for working with renters. You got to remember too, when you're working with renters, we're talking 24 days on average that they move into a property from the time they start looking. Sometimes it's sooner. Sometimes I've gotten deals in like 24 hours before. It's quick cash, very, very fast. By the time you meet that lead and you set them up in your MLS, you take them to the showings, put in the offers, close the property, usually it's like 2-3 weeks. You're going to get paid and almost nothing can go wrong. Your database is going to explode. I went from 0 people in my database when I moved to Florida in 2017 to getting my real estate license in 2019, at the very, very end. And I now have 25,000 people in my database. Plus, I have a lead database of 150,000 people, I believe, in my lead database. That's how many leads I've gotten, because I'm literally generating thousands of leads per month. and I'm doing it for free, which I'm going to show you in a second, right? Because you're not going to lose deals. You're going to get consistent results. You're going to get relocating clients. You're not going to have the same 90% failure rate as the majority of agents in this housing market right now. That's the beauty for doing rentals. You're going to start building this insane momentum. When you're closing deals every single day, right? If you close 30 deals a month, you're closing a deal a day. If you do 15 deals, you're closing a deal every other day. You're going to be celebrating victory after victory. That's the problem with real estate agents these days. You don't have any more victories to celebrate. You're just losing constantly. Deals are going wrong. You're not getting people under contract, and you're constantly in a depressed state where you're not motivated. This changes all of that. At least it did for me and the 310 agents that I've taught how to do this, because it creates a long-term business. It's not just one and done. You're not just going to do a quick rental deal here or there. It's going to stack and build over time. Remember before, 50 deals my first year, 170 deals my second year, 250 deals my third year, and then just up and up and up from there. It's a long-term business. Then your renters will turn to buyers, and then eventually in 5, 6, 7 years, your buyers are going to turn to sellers. You are literally setting up yourself for life. You have a lifelong career in real estate by focusing on the basics. Renters, buyers, sellers. Don't forget that. My rental system. This is probably what you want to actually hear. How do I do this? And I try to get through that as quick as possible. First, right? I have 3 main strategies, okay? The first strategy that I teach is MLS strategy. It's taking tenants from, MLS properties, single families, townhomes, duplexes, villas, condos, and basically getting them into those properties by advertising other listing agents' properties with permission. I'll break that down in a second. Then I have an apartment complex strategy, which I call apartment locating. That's doing a very similar strategy, except you're going to be working with apartment complexes. That's the easiest money you're ever going to make in your entire life. Trust me, it's like 30, 45 minutes of work. It's non-existent, the amount of effort that you have to put into this. Then it's actual rental listings, getting landlord leads, so you get the full month's rent commission, plus you get the benefit of having tenant leads, which you can then incorporate back into my MLS and my apartment complex strategy. Then renters into buyers. 2 different ways. Remember, active renters right now, very low ratio, 10% of your 10% of your active renters right now. So if you close 10 rental deals, you'll turn 1 into a buyer. Then 30% of your closed renters, you'll turn those into buyers in a couple years from now. Clients, right? So you basically have to set up MLS searches. You got to send more apartment complexes, and then you got to get landlords to sign the rental listing agreement. Okay. And I'm going to show you how I do that in a second. Showings, right? So there's 3 different ways to do showings for my rental system. You can do a minimal strategy where you're going to show the most properties. You can do an intermediate strategy where you're going to show few properties, which is like 0 to 3. And then advanced is 0. That you're going to show no properties. I have a very, very advanced system. It's a pre-offer strategy where you're going to put in an offer first to make sure they get accepted by the landlord, the listing agent. Then, and only then, you're going to show the property. I'm going to break that down. Guys, if you do this correctly, you're going to spend 2 hours on average per renter you do. And depending on where you are, right? Like I got agents in Austin, Texas. They only make $300 per tenant that they bring. But I got their average commission up to $1,500 because they do all 3 strategies. They're getting apartment complexes that pay a full month. They're getting a rental listing that pays a full month. They're getting $600 because the $300 transaction fee for bringing the tenants. So all combined and added together, if you do 10 deals in a month, you might make $3,000 on one deal and $600 on the next deal. Average it out, right? Just divide it up, average it out. It's like $1,500. It's incredible how this works because you're not going to waste much time doing showings. Then all you're going to do is put in offers. That's it. It's a basic, full package, which I think is on the next slide. Because once you show the property, you can do 2 different, aspects of this. You can put in a full package, or before showing the property, you could actually do the pre-offer, which is very advanced. I do not recommend doing that with no experience. Kind of got to learn to crawl before you can walk, before you can sprint. Full package is very basic. It's very simple. You're going to be doing a credit, background, eviction report, rental application, proof of income, and driver's license, right? Your proof of income can be 3 bank statements, 3 pay stubs, tax returns, offers, letters, anything that the owner will accept for proof of income, typically showing about 3 times the income and rent. Then you're going to write up a simple contract to lease. And guys, by the way, I like to use Rentspree. They're a national company. I love them. They're very easy to use. It's free for you. The tenants pay I think it's like $35 or something like that per application. And then you can just copy and paste the application because it's universally accepted. Most MLSs, like I'm here in Florida, our MLS actually has on their Rentspree screening. So it's universally accepted. So you can basically just reuse it over and over again for the tenant. It's one of the benefits of my system because it's very, very low lift for the actual tenant themselves. So if you want to sign up for Rentspree, scan the QR code right over there. Then once you do the full package and you put the offer in to the listing agent, right? You're going to write it all up in your email and then you're going to text them afterwards. You negotiate, right? You basically find a common ground depending on the offer that you put in. Now, if they accept you, amazing. Go on to the lease agreement. If they don't accept you, that's where you can put in multiple offers for the same client, especially if they have lower credit. Then when you get the lease agreement, you're not even doing that. The listing agent is writing up the lease agreement like 9 out of 10 times. That's their job of what they're supposed to do. All you got to do is get it signed. It's super simple and easy. Should take no more than 5 minutes, right? Maybe go over it with them. It's very, very simple. Then if there's an HOA, now this might not be applicable for everybody, but if there's an HOA, then you're just going to send them the HOA packet. They're going to fill it out and then they're going to drop it off at the HOA. You're not filling it out for them. If they have any questions, direct them to the HOA, because every HOA is different. Deposits, right? Typically, a deposit is going to be 1 month's rent held in escrow by a title company, by their brokerage, by your brokerage, by the landlord. Just don't commingle any kind of funds. You know what I mean? Don't do anything like that. But you're going to want to basically collect 1 month's rent as a deposit so you lock the tenant in so they don't go anywhere. Then after that, you're just sitting back and relaxing. That's it. If it's a week until the move-in or 2 weeks until the move-in, whatever it is, you're just waiting, right? You're doing nothing at that point. That's why rentals are so easy and nothing can go wrong. Like think about it. What can actually happen? You're not getting a pre-approval. You're not getting any kind of, a loan commitment. You're not getting any kind of inspection report or appraisal or a clear to close. None of that stuff. You're just sitting back and waiting. It's the easiest money that you'll make in real estate. I'm telling you right now, if you do this correctly, and yes, there is a correct way to do this, it is dirt simple. Then all you got to do is the final walkthrough. You meet them there at the property, and you're basically doing a reverse showing, right? You're just making sure the property looks the same as it was when you showed the property. That's it. The tenant is bringing last month and security deposit typically for the keys. And then you're getting your commission check right then and there. That's it. You can go cash it in with your brokerage at that point, which is absolutely incredible. This is how I've iconed 4 times with EXP Realty. And I'm very soon to icon a 5th time because I do rentals. And if anybody's familiar with EXP's icon program, you have to do 20 deals after you cap. Doing 20 deals with sales is difficult, right? As a solo agent, because that's what I was, a solo agent. Doing 20 rental deals, I can do that in 1 month. And anybody else can do the same thing as me. I'm not special, right? So once you get paid, that's it. Your job is done. Now, all you're doing is just rinsing and repeating. Now, let me break down my 3 main strategies. My MLS strategy is first, okay? So you're gonna start on your local MLS. You're gonna basically just get permission to advertise another listing agent's rental property. That's it. That's all you have to do. And if you approach this the right way, they're never gonna say no, okay? This took me a lot of time to actually learn how to do this, but that's why I created a program on this, Richer Rentals. Picking the listing. You got to find an incredible listing. Not all rental listings are created equally. You're not going to get the same amount of leads for every listing, so you have to learn how to do that. Then you're going to post the listing on a site like, let's say, Facebook Marketplace. That's the most beginner and easy and basic and free strategy that you could possibly use. And I was getting 200 free leads per day off of Facebook Marketplace implementing this advertising strategy, right? They're going to be rental leads, but guess what? You can also convert your renters into buyers, guys. Don't forget that. Then you're just going to respond to your leads. Tenants are going to reach out to you. They're going to ask which property is available, and you're going to convince them to work with you, okay? Now, this would take me an hour just to break down this aspect of actually convincing a tenant to work with you at this point. That's why I created an entire program on this. Then you're going to set up a showing, right? You're going to talk to the lead. You're going to set up a showing to make sure that they qualify for it, okay? Remember before we talked about the 3 different methods of qualifying them? So it's a very easy, low lift. It's a very moderate where you're going to show up to 3 properties, and then an advanced strategy where you do the pre-offers. This way you don't show any properties. Very, very awesome how to do that. Then you're going to set them up in your MLS, right? So depending on the showing that you set up for them, you're also going to set them up in the MLS because you want to show them backup properties just in case. Now, make sure you don't scare them away. Say the right things here. Otherwise, they're going to get freaked out and they're going to go and find another agent that doesn't try to pressure them. So there is a very specific way to do this. Pre-offers, right? Let's just talk briefly about the pre-offers. Now, I do not recommend, this is only for experts. Like, I don't recommend anybody doing this if you don't have at least 10 rental deals closed. At least, right? Because you're going to have to convince a tenant to fill out an entire rental application. They're going to have to pay 30 or 40 bucks depending on what you use. Then they're going to have to give you their proof of income. And then you're going to have to convince them on this, okay? This took me years to actually master and come up with this strategy, but you're basically just going to, no BS them and let them know how much time they're going to save, in so many words, but I go very in-depth on this. More showings. If the initial property doesn't work out or, if the pre-offer wasn't accepted, show more properties or put more offers in. It's literally that simple, okay? Then if you haven't done your pre-offer yet and you showed the property, you're going to do a rental application. Now, I like doing Rentspree. That's my favorite one. We talked about that before. And then once you get the full package, we talked about that, credit back and eviction report, rental application, proof of income, driver's license. See how fast I just did that? That's because I have years of experience and hundreds of closed deals. If you can do that off the top of your head without thinking, now you're ready to do my advanced strategy. That's a good metric and guideline on how to do the advanced strategy, when you could fire things out this quickly without even thinking about it. The terms, right? You're going to go over the terms on the contract to lease with your client, right? Price, move-in date, co-signer, extra money up front, depending on the credit, right? If they have bad credit, you're going to do extra monies, little things like that. Then offers, right? You're going to basically craft this offer up in an email, and then you're going to send it out to the listing agent, and then also text them too. It's always good practice to do so. Then you're going to negotiate this with the actual listing agent. Now, if they accept them right off the bat, phenomenal. But if not, plead your case to the listing agent. I mean, you could even have the tenant give a letter of recommendation from their previous landlord, from their job. You can have the tenant write up a letter to the landlord. This will help get your client accepted, which is exactly what you want. It's what the tenant wants. It's what the landlord wants. It's what the listing agent wants. Everybody wins once an offer is accepted, okay? And the final steps, right, is basically just lease agreement like we talked about before. You don't really have to do much there. Just get it signed. HOA application, again, all you're doing is giving the HOA application with a brief little description. I copy and paste a template every single time for this, and then just explain it to them in an email template. They fill it out, they drop it off, and I just follow up, right? Deposit, they're going to be held by a title company, by your brokerage, by their brokerage, by the landlord. Somebody's going to hold that 1 month's rent in escrow to make sure that the tenant has skin in the game. They're not going to go anywhere. Then you're going to do the final walkthrough. You're going to take them to the property. You're going to make sure it's in good condition. They're going to give lasting security, like we talked about before, maybe an extra month at that point. Whatever other problems and issues there are at the time, you have a rental checklist that you're going to go over. Then you're going to get paid. You're going to get your commission check right then and there when the tenant gets the keys. It's that simple. That's a rental deal. That's an MLS rental deal right there. Now, obviously, I made this sound like a lot easier than it actually is because it does involve a lot of details that I kind of glazed over, but that's because we're on limited time right now. I don't want to do a 2-hour, presentation right now, or a 3-hour presentation or 4-hour presentation. We're just going to kind of go through everything, the basics of this, so you can get out there and you can start doing it yourself, or you can hire me for more help, right? Because you're going to be repeating this the entire time that you're doing this one deal. You're going to be repeating with multiple people. How do you think I close 30 deals in a month, right? There's times where I'm working with 50 clients at once. Yes, 50 clients with no VA, no transaction coordinator. I would sit there on my phone, on my laptop while driving to showings, working nonstop with multiple people. And I stay organized. I have systems and processes that I created to stay organized and track everything and make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Really cool system that I created. And yes, obviously, obviously I do include that in my program, Richer Rentals. So my next strategy is apartments, okay? This is apartment complexes. Now, you're gonna start, instead of the MLS, you're gonna use apartments.com for this. You're basically gonna build a spreadsheet of all the apartment complexes, the communities that are gonna work with you in your area, okay? Then you're gonna advertise that apartment complex on a similar place like Facebook Marketplace. You don't have to use Facebook Marketplace. There's other like strategies you can use, like the Real strategy on Instagram or TikTok, but that is a very easy and free one to do. Now, I go over some more advanced strategies on how to do this, but nothing beats free, right? Where you don't have to spend any money in ads. Remember, I was getting 200 leads a day using apartment complexes and MLS properties, okay? 100% free, don't have to pay $1 for ads. Again, you're gonna pick the listings that look the nicest. You don't want like an old apartment complex that was built in the early 1900s that's falling apart. You know, nobody's gonna want that property. Nobody's gonna click on it. You want the nice ones at the best price points, okay? And then, like I said, if you want to do a real strategy, just go take your phone or an expensive camera and go and take a reel of the property so you can post on Instagram, okay? Now, I break that whole strategy down. It's really cool to see how that converts because you might get 50,000 views per reel that you post. And all these people are going to be reaching out to you to want to see that property. Not all of them, but the ones that actually convert. Then you can boost those locally in your market. There's so many cool things that you can do to generate hundreds of leads per day. So think about this, right? Once you're getting all of these leads, okay, you have to respond to them. You have to figure out a way to capture the lead because a lead is no good to you if it doesn't convert into a client of yours. All right. So I've spent tens of thousands of hours of trial and error trying to figure this out. The right combination of words said in the right order, in the right tone at the right time. So, you know, if you don't hire somebody to teach you how to do this, you're going to have to do the same and figure it out on your own what to exactly say to them. But once you do, you're going to get a very high conversion rate, and then you're going to be able to set up showings, okay? You cannot do a pre-offer strategy for apartment complexes. They work completely different. They basically take their own application and they have the tenant go through it, which does not involve you. So these, no pre-offers, you're just gonna be doing showings. So you have to pre-screen them, okay? Then if that property doesn't work out, you just go and show them another apartment complex. Because remember, you built a list before, then you'll show them another property that you think they'll like better based on the first showing, okay? Then, like I said, the apartment complex handles that entire application process. That's why I said apartments are actually the easiest deals you could possibly do in real estate because you're not doing anything. All you're doing is bringing the tenant there and the apartment complex handles the rest. You're just convincing them that they either want this apartment complex or they want another apartment complex. That's it. That's all you're doing, right? And obviously convincing them to work with you. Then you're going to get paid within 30 days, right? So when the tenant moves in, it's a little bit different than the MLS strategy that we talked about before. The actual apartment complexes will pay you themselves within 30 days. So that's going to be a problem for some agents that need like quick cash now. So that's why I always recommend doing MLS properties first, incorporating some apartment complexes into this because you'll get paid immediately at the walkthrough on the for an MLS property from the listing agent and the tenant, the landlord, obviously, but not the apartment complexes. They're going to pay you 30 days afterwards. So be very careful if you need money right now. Keep that in the back of your head. But once you have money coming in and flowing, you could do this all day long. If you close 10 extra apartments, who cares? Because you're going to be closing another 5 or 10 MLS properties on top of that at the same time. And all the while, you're going to be rinsing and repeating. Same thing as MLS, rinse and repeat. You can work with up to 50 people at once if you do this properly. That's how I was closing 30 deals every single month. Well, no, I wasn't closing 30 deals every month. I was closing like 20 to 30 deals every single month. And that's hard to do. But that brings me in to my rental listing strategy. You want to be the one to have control and power over the listing yourself, then you get your own listings. Now, you're going to be doing a lot of different strategies to get landlord leads. First one is FRBO, okay? And you're probably thinking, I know FSBO, for sale by owner. What the hell is FRBO? It's for rent by owner. Nobody calls them. It's the most untapped listing strategy out there. Now, granted, it's not going to be a sale, so you're not making $10,000 or $15,000. You're making $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 because you're getting a full month's rent commission typically, maybe worst case scenario, half a month's rent commission. But if you do a bunch of these, because remember, 2 hours per deal and you stack them up. You could do 5 of these rental deals in the exact same amount of time and effort as one house sale. when you do this correct, okay? Trust me on this. This works better than you could possibly imagine. You can use sites like RedX or Mojo Dialer. There's a million sites out there where you can pay for these FRBO leads. It's very cheap. It's like 50, 60 bucks a month. Or you can actually go off of like Zillow, Trulia, a bunch of different sites out there that will have them listed, and you just get the for rent by owners, landlord's number and call them up, right? I developed all these scripts for it and everything with my trial and error because you do not want to sound like a salesman. Trust me, they'll hang up on you right away, but you're going to be basically the only person calling them. Nobody else gives a crap about getting a rental listing. Nobody cares. Most people don't even want the rental listings. That's why my MLS strategy works so well, because when you call these rental listing agents up and ask them for permission to advertise their property, they're like, oh, please do. I don't even want this listing. I'm just doing it as a favor for a friend, because they can't see the bigger picture where you're going to stack these up and do volume. Think about it. Even if you're only making $1,000 a deal and you do 10 of them in a month, you make $10,000. That's 120 grand per year. And what did we talk about before? We said that if we close 10 rentals, for every 10 we close, we can turn one renter into a buyer. Boom! Just like that, you just got a sale. Now, instead of $10,000 per month, you're making $20,000 per month, and that will stack and grow. That's how I got up to $50,000 per month. Remember, best month ever, I made 132 grand. It's actually really cool how I did this. I had a renter that I turned into a buyer. Listen to this story, right? So this guy, his name was Horacio, awesome dude, all over social media, started blowing up, rented a property with me. I think I made $3,000, $6,000 rental. Then a year later, he rented a $20,000 property because I followed my 369 system, which I'm going to show you in a second. Don't go anywhere. Then a year after that, he was like, Andy, I'm making $1 million a month right now. I want to buy a house. I said, amazing, let's do it. 2 months later, we closed on a $3.4 million mansion. I made $85,000 in commission in one deal. That month, I also closed 20-something rentals. I made $132,000 in 30 days from working with renters. And guess where that client, Horacio, came from? Facebook Marketplace. If I can do this, any of y'all can do this, okay? Any of y'all can do this, and you can get rental listings on top of it, right? Set up a listing presentation. So once you get the for rent by owner on the phone and they say yes, all you got to do is set up a rental listing presentation. I actually created one. It took me a long time. It's very in-depth. I created one. I give it to anybody in my rental program, Rental Rentals, by the way. Then you're going to run a CMA, right? And I teach how to do this. If you don't know how to run a CMA, it should take you at least 20 to 30 minutes to run a CMA. It is not just clicking a couple buttons and letting a computer automatically generate it for you. That is not nearly good enough. That's why your property is going to be sitting on the market forever, because you're not pricing it appropriately. Guess what? In the past year, in most markets, prices have come down. Look at any real estate graph in most markets, right? The Northeast is kind of skewing this right now, but in most markets, Texas, Florida, Wisconsin, California, all these states are going down in prices. So if you get a CMA, a comp, from 6 months ago, you're not going to price the property from 6 months ago's price. You're not going to price it higher than that. You're going to price it lower than that because property values are coming down. Same thing for rentals. Rental property values, well, actually, they're a little bit stagnant. Rental property values are a little stagnant. They're not really going up. They're not really going down. They're staying around the same level, give or take. But for sale listings, those are absolutely going down. I'm trying to buy a house right now. There's a house that we were looking at that we were putting an offer in for. 9 months ago, that house was going for the house was going for 1.35 million. Today, they had it listed for 1.25 million. $100,000 price reduction, exact same unit, exact same model from 9 months ago. And then they just dropped the price again. And then they're going to probably drop the price again because prices are coming down. So when you run comps, when you're doing listing presentations, you got to account for all of that. That's why you can't just click a button. You have to actually do research. And I've broken this entire thing down. I've mastered doing CMAs. Then you're also going to do a cash flow projection sheet for the actual landlord to find out how much they have to bring in per month in rent to actually break even or to have positive cash flow, make a few $100 a month. And I have an entire sheet on that. I created an Excel spreadsheet on that. It's really cool, really handy. Then it's the commission, right? When you go and meet the owner and you do your rental listing presentation, you can do it over the phone, by the way. It's just a rental listing. You don't have to do it in person. You can do it over Zoom or on the phone. You're going to split the commission with them 50-50 if a tenant's agent brings a renter to your property, because we talked about this, you're gonna get a full month's rent commission. So if you get both sides, amazing, you get a full month's rent commission. Otherwise, 50% goes to the tenant, or whatever you want to give them. You want to give them $300, go ahead and do it. Your property's just gonna sit for a little bit longer, so just keep that in mind. There's other strategies to do this where you can ask for a flat rate, right? You can use it if you're having a hard time getting permission to advertise rental properties and you just want rental leads coming in. You can just do it for free, just to get the leads coming in. There's a lot of different ways to actually go about this, right? And I break all this down in my system. Then there's canceled and expired listings. So not just FRBOs, you can actually get canceled and expired rental listings. There's a reason why they were off market, because the listing agent messed up. They did a bad job 9 out of 10 times. That's what happened. So you have to go in there and fix their mistakes. Now you can use the MLS for this. That's probably the best way to do it, is using your local MLS, going on canceled and expired, and doing a little bit of research on the property, and then calling the owner. You're gonna have to skip trace them typically. You can look at the tax records, you can find out who owns the properties, and then just use a skip tracing service to get their phone number, right? Reach out to them and then basically convince them to use you instead of the other agent that they used before. Tell them where they went wrong by doing your research. So that takes a little bit more homework before doing these calls on each individual property, but it pays dividends. They're much, much easier to get than for rent by owner. Much easier to get once you've mastered this, right? Okay, that's how to get rental listings. So we just talked about MLS strategy, apartment complex strategy, and rental listings. Those are 3 strategies in my rental system on how to generate leads, right? Because it's all about generating leads every single day. But what happens when you get these leads? Well, you can turn renters into buyers. This is where things get real interesting, real cool, real fast. Like I said before, 2 ways to do this. 1 renter into a buyer every month if you close 10 rental deals. That is a really cool way to actually build extra income, especially if you're in a lower commission market, like we said before, right? Now, I break all of this down. I think, I don't want to make this video too long right now. So instead of actually having them rent a property, convince them to buy. Now, don't force it down their throat. Only if it makes financial sense for them are you going to convince them to buy a house. You can partner with a lender, which is very highly advisable, so they can actually find out what they're pre-approved for and if it makes sense to rent a house or buy a house right now. Just keep in mind, it's about anywhere from $300 up to $1,500 more expensive for a house to purchase as it is to rent. So that's why 90% of America is renting homes right now, because it's about, on average, $1,000 cheaper per month to rent the same house than you could buy. When you factor in your mortgage, your property taxes, your insurance, the HOA fees, the principal, when you factor in all of that, a $500,000 home, give or take, is like $4,500 a month, all in, right? But if you rent that same $500,000 home, it's like $3,000, maybe $3,500. So it's a lot cheaper to rent a house. So you have to let the tenant or the renter that's reaching out to you know that. But if it makes sense for them to buy the house instead of rent and they can cover those additional costs, explain why, right? We don't have time to go over that right now. I have done entire breakdowns of that though. Then, using my 369 system, this is where the real money comes into place. You can make $1 million a year within your next couple of years. No bullshit, no lie. I became a millionaire in real estate with a little bit of help from this, right? I made a lot of money off the renters, the rental deals themselves, but I also made a lot of money on turning my renters into buyers, right? 2 different ways. Like I said, this is the second way. Just be careful when their lease is up, after 9 months, you don't want to push them into buying if they're not ready yet. You could help them renew their lease. You could help them find another property. There's a lot of different avenues to go, but most importantly, if they're ready to buy a house, you want them using you. So you have to do the prep work, throughout the entire year or 2 years to actually keep yourself top of mind, right? Month 9, that's where the magic happens. Month 3 and 6, basically check-ins, right? And I break this down a lot more. Then I have a weekly VIP email system that I send out to all my closed renters, right? I think I have about 1,800 or so. I've closed like 900 or so deals. There's partners, husband and wife. There's roommates. I have a lot of people in my VIP database right now, more than just the 900 deals that I closed. And they get an email every single week catered to them. Top 10 restaurants locally in the area. Tips on buying your first house, current mortgage rates. I mix it up. I have templates of all 52 weeks, right, of custom templates that I have. And if you guys want to sign up for Constant Contact, just scan the QR code. I'm going to drop it in the description too, so you guys can actually go to the link. And if you sign up for Constant Contact under my account, it's free to do under my account, then you'll get all my templates 100% for free. You got to pay for Constant Contact for whatever plan that you choose. It's very cheap and affordable though, but you'll get all of my templates, so you don't have to go and spend a few hundred hours building them out yourselves. Success tips, right? So I'm going to briefly go over this, and you can see 1 year I was actually third in the world in EXP Realty by deals done, 228 deals closed. They actually didn't count the other 20 apartments I did, or 25 apartments I did, so it was actually 250 that year, which was pretty cool. You got to pick a niche. The riches are in the niches. I think the rental niche is by far the best niche on the planet right now because of the housing market that we're in. You got to learn communication skills, right? I love Vin Jiang. He's on YouTube. He's incredible. He has incredible communication skills. Absolutely love his style and how he teaches people to talk and communicate better. And you're going to have to learn other skills like sales skills. Alex Hormozy is incredible for that. Hard work, guys. It's about working smart and hard. You can't just do both. Or sorry, you have to do both. You can't just do one or the other. If you're working hard but not utilizing your time if you're using the wrong vehicle, like let's say you're doing for sale by owner calls and you're working hard, busting your butt, 6 hours a day prospecting, but you're getting hung up on every one call, maybe will be decent, but there's like 50 calls that are awful. You're not utilizing your time correctly. You're working hard but not smart. The smart way to do this would be, like I said, MLS strategy, apartment complex strategy, rental listing strategy. This way, you're working those same 6 hours for prospecting, but you're actually getting results. You're getting leads that are reaching out to you and wanting to work with you. It's completely different how you work, but you have to work extremely hard, okay? And then you really want to treat this as a business. It's not a 9-to-5 job. There's no boss breathing over your neck telling you what to do. There's no, hey, 1 o'clock, you have to go and show this property. Hey, at 4 o'clock, put in this offer. Absolutely not. It's not like that whatsoever. You're your own boss. You're an entrepreneur. Treat this like your own business. You're not clocking out at 5 o'clock at night. You're not clocking in at 9 o'clock in the morning. You're not taking off Saturdays and Sundays. It's not how this works. If you want to succeed at the highest level like I have, you will not do that. You're going to work around the clock. Plain and simple. If you want to succeed at the highest level, if you don't want to do that, then don't do that. Treat it as a 9-to-5 job, and you're going to get 9-to-5 job results. Follow up. Don't forget about this. You will literally increase your business by up to, or actually more than 30% if you follow up with every single person every single day. I created an entire follow-up system on this. It works brilliantly. That's how I went from closing 10 deals a month to 20 deals a month to 30 deals a month, okay? Follow-ups. One of the many things I've done. And you got to remember, it all starts in your mind over here. You got to believe that you can do this. Listen, if you're always positive things will happen. The universe will reward you by basically, it's not even like any mumbo jumbo nonsense. It's because you're doing good deeds. You're being friendly to people. You're helping. You have such a positive energy about you that people want to be around you, want to use you, want to work with you. All of these things will equate to you closing more deals and making more money. That's why being positive has compound effects over time. But if you're always negative and you're nasty to people, nobody's gonna wanna work with you. Your personality is your personal reality, okay? Remember that. Remember that and brainwash yourself to always think that how can I be improving? How can I be growing? How can I be learning constantly? I am constantly learning something new every single day. I make it a fact and point to learn a new skill, a new method, a new technique every day that I'm alive, okay? And because of that, I've been scaling and scaling and scaling every single year. And guess what? I've been working a little bit less stress, a little bit less anxiety every year because of it, right? Because you're gonna have to learn to problem solve. If you do not learn how to solve problems, get out of real estate right now. It's not the career for you. Because like I said before, this is a business and businesses have problems. You have to learn how to problem solve at a high level. I'll give you an example. I had a renter back in 2023, and we got to the final walkthrough. She was, nonsense, garbage the whole entire time. Made it a very difficult deal for me. We finally get to the final walkthrough, and she was short $600. for whatever reason, she didn't want to pay the prorated amount, maybe moved in like three days early or something. We were going to lose the whole deal. Listing agent wasn't budging. Owner wasn't budging. She wasn't budging. So eventually I was like, you know what? I'll pay the $600. I was making like a $2,400 check. So I still walked away with $1,800 because I problem solved. Now, could I have been stubborn and be like, hey, it's not my problem, not my fault, forget it. Let's just lose the whole deal. I don't care. Guess what? I would have lost $1,800. Not only would I have lost my entire commission, I wouldn't have gotten anything. It wouldn't have served me. It wouldn't have served them. It would have served nobody. And I was mad. I was upset and angry, but I pushed that pride down and said, you know what? I'm going to solve this problem right now to get this done. Problem solving, be creative, right? Really, really think outside the box, get crafty, get nifty on what you're doing. And I'm telling you right now, good things will happen. Here's my program, Rich at Rentals. 100% money back guarantee, literally 100% refund policy. So if you, aren't satisfied, get a full refund. That's what I offer. If you don't make your money back in your first couple months, I'll pay you all back, right? Because I include an entire training platform where everything that we went over, I go in depth, hours and hours and hours of trainings, like everything I glazed over. It's in there. It's literally in there, step by step, exactly what to do. And trust me, there's hundreds of things you have to master in order to make 50 grand a month. Nobody said, being the number 2 agent in the world, closing hundreds of deals per year, making millions of dollars is easy. It's not supposed to be easy, but I have a blueprint that I created to do it. I have an entire training platform. I do weekly coaching calls, which I'm actually doing in a short while. I think in an hour from now, I have my weekly coaching call where you get to pick my brain, ask me any kind of questions that you want. I do it live. And then we have a community, 24/7 support on WhatsApp, 310 agents that have signed up over the past year and 3 months. We're all in the WhatsApp community. Within 5 minutes, your question will be answered. It's all elite agents focusing on the same thing. We're like a giant rental family, and turning renters into buyers, right? I have tons of testimonials. I'm going to show you in a second where I have agents that have made $10,000, $15,000 in their first month. I have agents that have made 40 grand in their first 3 months. And we're talking 40 grand in 30 days, in 1 month, right? And it took them only 3 months to get to that level, right? So, here's a couple ways to pay if you want. I'm not going to really go over that, but if you want a couple ways to pay right there, I would just say this strategy works because nobody's doing it. I'm the only agent, that came up with this kind of ingenious rental strategy. And I'm telling you right now, it's kind of like investing in Tesla, Amazon, Bitcoin, 10 years ago. Except it's a strategy, It's like if you had done for sale by owners 10 years ago, you would have gotten rich off of that because nobody knew how to do it back then. Now everybody knows how to do it. Same situation with this. Eventually, agents are going to figure this out, right? I'm teaching a lot of agents. And once they figure it out, it's not going to be as easy anymore, But right now, nobody knows how to do this. In the grand scheme of things, there's 1.5 million agents in America. I've taught 310 of them. Nobody knows how to do this in the grand scheme of things. So get in now before, other agents really figure this out. And then you'll turn your renters into buyers. At that point, you'll never have to do another rental deal ever again in your life. All your hard work and your smart work right now will pay off tenfold. You'll be making $1 million per year if you do this correctly, right? I have a bunch of testimonials here. There's a link to all my testimonials on the screen. Anybody wants to check them out, richrentals.com. Go to my YouTube channel. I have 2 YouTube channels. I'm going to pull that up here. I have part-time agents making 10 grand a month, working 2 hours a day. It's dirt simple once you learn how to do this, and I will get you there within 2 or 3 months. Here's my actual website. Sign up for it. I have an afterpay function. If it texts me, reach out to me afterwards. I'm going to drop my contact info in the description if you want to learn more about that. But that's my site, richrentals.com. You can scan it. You can go on it. It's going to be in the description as well. And I have an EXP Realty thing over here. So if anybody wants to join EXP Realty, I got all of that there as well. I hope you all really enjoyed that. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the comments. I would be more than happy to answer them.